Platybelodon had a jaw with no equal among living animals. The lower half of its face extended into a flat spade of bone. Two broad teeth fused into a single blade squared off at the tip. 15 million years ago, it fed across the drying plains of what is now northern China. And for most of the last century, we were sure we knew what that jaw was for. It was an elephant relative, an Megalodon from a proboscidean family that left no survivors. And it came in smaller than the name suggests. A large male stood around 7 feet at the shoulder and weighed less than a living elephant bull. With a pair of long upper tusks, the females mostly lacked. The females were smaller still. Older books and museum mounts put the animal at 3 meters and 4 tons, though the most careful recent estimates bring it down to something no taller than a small Asian elephant. What set it apart was the front of its face. For most of the 20th century, paleontologists put it in a swamp. They looked at the flat jaw and its fused teeth and saw a tool for one job: dredging. Platybelodon was reconstructed wading in shallow lakes, lowering that blade into the mud, scooping soft water plants up by the mouthful. It was a plausible story. Roy Chapman Andrews and his teams had pulled whole quarries of these skeletons out of the Mongolian and Chinese Badlands in the late 1920s. There was enough bone to build a complete growth series, and the swamp dredger picture became accepted fact in every textbook that followed. Then someone looked at the teeth more closely. Tusks and molars wear down as an animal uses them, which was a record of the mouth's real work. In the early 1990s, the paleontologist David Lambert examined the lower tusks and found the wrong pattern for a shovel. A dredge dragged through mud and grit scratches and pits in one telltale way. These teeth showed the marks of a blade, worn from cutting tough vegetation. Later work reached the same conclusion. Microwear on the molars of Platybelodon from the Linxia Basin pointed to a bruiser cropping leaves, twigs, bark, and low stems, with no signature of the mud-scooping life earlier conclusions had drawn. And in 2023, a team running finite element models and isotope chemistry on the skull recovered the real job of that jaw. The flat front edge was used as a cutting blade. The animal gripped a branch in its trunk and pulled it tight, then dragged the stem across the squared edge of its lower teeth, the way a stalk is pulled across a knife held flat on a board. That detail changes everything about how it fed. The shovel was a blade, and the trunk was already doing the fine work of gathering food. Platybelodon may be the earliest proboscidean we can catch in the act of grazing open ground with a grasping trunk, the same behavior that defines a living elephant. The famous jaw was already secondary, as the trunk was taking over the feeding. By the Middle Miocene, the plains it grazed on were new. The heart of Asia was drying out, the wet forests breaking into open country, grass spreading over ground that had been closed canopy. Platybelodon was built to handle that shift. As the shovel-jawed relatives that needed denser cover dwindled, it moved into the opening grassland and flourished. It became the dominant feeder across a wide belt of what is now China and Central Asia. For a few million years, it ruled the drying plains. It did not last, though. Around 12 million years ago, Platybelodon disappears from the fossil record in northern China. It was lost in a climate lurch that reshuffled the whole fauna. Other elephant relatives spread into the ground it had once held. What disappeared with it was bigger than a single animal. Across the next several million years, the long lower jaw and its flat tusks shrank. Then, it vanished in Platybelodon's relatives and across every other branch of the elephant line. The trunk had won over the square jaw. Once a grasping trunk could tear grass from the earth and lift it to the mouth, the cutting blade out front was dead weight. It shrank away over the generations, and no elephant has that jaw today. The blade that gave Platybelodon its name was already obsolete while the animal was still thriving.